Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uncensored 1997 in our WCW What If series in TEW 2020. I, of course, am Sierra Daredevil, bringing you all of the live action as you see on the screen in front of you. Follow me over on Twitter, Sierra Daredevil05, and drop a follow over on Twitch at CR Daredevil. But all the self pandering out of the way is Uncensored 1997, a big show in front of us, including that huge main event. A 8-man tag team elimination matchup. Team NWO versus Team WCW. If the NWO win, then Roddy Piper is out of power in WCW. If Team WCW wins, then they get title shots. So we can't complain about that. Of course, we also have that other big matchup here tonight. The tag team matchup of Ric Flair and Brian Pillman taking on Eddie Guerrero and Cactus Jack after the many weeks of back and forth that Eddie Guerrero and Ric Flair have been having. We open up the show in front of 60,000 people, a sold-out arena of the Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California. 81 rating for this segment, as it's just a quick video hyping up that semi-main event, the tag team matchup. Kind of focuses a little bit more on Ric Flair and Eddie Guerrero's issues with each other over the recent weeks, but it does kind of talk about Eddie's having to go through the Horsemen and losing to Pillman and all this other stuff. So nice way to hype up that match. And of course, we then have a video hyping up the main event, Team NWO versus Team WCW. It does get announced during this video that should Team WCW win this matchup, they will get title shots against the titles that the NWO currently hold. However, they do not have to be separated. They do not. It's not one of those, well, if one of them claims a shot at the world title, then nobody else can have a shot at the world title. So technically, all four of them could have a shot at the world title if they wanted to. It's just going to depend on how it plays out. So we'll have to see if Team WCW can get the victory here, or if this is the last night that Roddy Piper is in power here in WCW. We open up the actual wrestling portion of the show tonight with a rematch from Nitro a couple weeks ago, as Vader defeats Rocky Maivia in 7:57 by pinfall with a Vader bomb. 71 rating for the match, 78 from Vader, 44 from Rocky Maivia. This past Saturday night, Rocky Maivia had a promo and said that he wanted to fight Vader one more time. He said, he couldn't get it done the first time, but he wanted to face him one more time here and see if he could get it done. He wanted to represent his, he wanted to look good for his mentor, Ron Simmons. But unfortunately, Vader was too much for him and was able to get the victory, as Ron Simmons had to stay there at ringside and watch as Vader laid out Maivia with the Vader bomb and got the victory. So continuing that little story there, eventually may end up having to have something happen between Vader and Simmons, but we will have to see when that happens. After that, we then have an interesting little segment where Rick Martel had an interview with Mike today. Rick Martel is kind of talking about how, he came to WCW. He hasn't really had a lot of opportunities, but he came to WCW looking to prove that he can still go, looking to prove that he can still fight really well in professional wrestling. And it gets interrupted by Dawn Marie, of all people. Dawn Marie, who's been managing Yoshihiro Tajiri and the Mayhem Express, which is Terry Richards and Tom Brandi. And Dawn says that she's been watching the model. She's been watching him perform, and she likes what she sees. So if he ever wants to, have someone help direct his career the right way, then he should give her a call, and kind of puts her business card in his hand and walks away. So kind of an interesting little thing here, as Rick Martel's been offered the services of Dawn Marie, surprisingly. Not sure where that's going to happen or where that's going to go, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Then after that, Too Cold Scorpio and Big Bubba Rogers have a street fight with their recent issues, stemming back from Too Cold Scorpio making his WCW debut in a matchup answering the open challenge of Big Bubba Rogers at Super Brawl. They have a street fight, goes 11:29, and Too Cold Scorpio gets the victory by pinfall with a disc that don't miss. 69 rated for the match, nice. 68 from Scorpio, 56 from Rogers, so a little bit lower performance-wise than their match at Super Brawl, which is kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is, I guess. This kind of ends the storyline. Two Cold Scorpios, like this storyline was always going to be just a temporary thing until I got Scorpio moved on to something else. So this was always going to be just kind of a short little storyline to kind of help him get on TV and help kind of build him up a little bit before we moved him on elsewhere. So we'll have to see where both men go from here. Then after that, Rikishi Fatu turns the corner backstage and spots Curt Hennig, who also sees him, of course. You know, the recent issues between Fatu and Hennig causes Fatu to start chasing after Curt Hennig, but Curt Hennig runs away. He is deucing out at this point. He reaches a waiting car first and is able to screech off into the night, leaving Rikishi Fatu behind. Got a 63. I don't know why I didn't advance the story. I didn't know why there was no story. The storyline wasn't attached to this. That's kind of weird. I don't know if maybe it was set as a minor thing, so maybe that's why I didn't do it, but yeah, it should have been attached to that. But kind of continuing that storyline. Rikishi Fatu trying to get his hands on Curt Hennig, but Hennig was able to get away, so we'll have to see if at some point those two end up having a match against each other. Then after that, television championship on the line. Brad Armstrong is able to defeat Stevie Ray in 152 by pinfall the Russian leg sweep, thanks to Booker T running in and attacking Stevie Ray when the referee was down. Brad Armstrong was able to get the job done and retain the title, but of course the bigger note out of this is that Booker T's come back. We haven't seen him since Super Brawl when he got beat down by his brother. Booker T ran in and cost Stevie Ray the television championship here, so I gotta imagine that those two are going to be having a hell of a fight in the near future. I'm not sure when at this point, but they are gonna... I gotta imagine that Booker's not been happy about the words he's been hearing out of Stevie's mouth the last few weeks. And he's definitely going to end up wanting more of a piece of his brother in the coming weeks. But defense number 3 of the World Television Championship for Brad Armstrong. So a big victory for him. And he continues with that TV title. Then after that, we have a backstage promo from Raven and Al Snow. They're going to be in competition here tonight. Raven talks about people needing to open their eyes to the world around them. He says that that everybody's blinded out there by what they think the world is, but he's the one that truly knows what the world looks like around him, and he needs to open people's eyes just like he's opened Al Snow's eyes. He's going to try to open the eyes of the masses out there, so to speak. This gets interrupted by the Bad Babe, that is. She's pleading with the two of them to let Johnny B. Bad go because they still have him somewhere. Not sure where, but they still have him somewhere. Or she says at least let them, or take her to him over. Al Snow kind of stands there and creepily plays with her hair, which, you know, she's creeped out by this, however. As Raven kind of looks right into her eyes for a moment, just kind of staring without saying a word, before saying that she's not ready to see him. The two then walk away, as she seemingly has a little bit of a panic attack over not being able to see him. So kind of an interesting little segment here, as Raven and Al Snow Raven's deemed that the Bad Babe is not ready to see Johnny B. Bad. And so Bad is still locked up somewhere. He's still somewhere at this point. We're not sure where, but advances that storyline there. Gives a 60 rating. That's not terrible for what it is. Al Snow was rated on charisma, and Bad Babe was rated on entertainment, so it's still not bad for what it is. Raven and Al Snow then have a tag team matchup, and in a 61 rated matchup, Al Snow and Raven defeat Alex Wright and Billy Kidman in 852, when Raven pinned Billy Kidman with an even flow DDT after Marcus Bagwell distracted Alex Wright in the matchup. 61 rating for the match. That's actually pretty good. Raven and Al Snow both with 63 in-ring performances, so that's really good. 57 from Alex Wright and 48 from Billy Kidman. Raven benefited from having a hot new move and is getting better at his gimmick. But there's kind of a couple different stories going on here. Al Snow and Raven working together as a tag team. Not great chemistry with each other, but still working pretty well as a tag team. And then, of course, the story of Marcus Bagwell distracting Alex Wright in this matchup. Which that story is continued afterwards. Because afterwards, Alex Wright is attacked by Marcus Bagwell. Billy Kidman tries to help him out. You know, he's just trying to be a nice guy, trying to help him out, but he gets attacked by the other member of the Horsemen not involved in a match tonight, Chris Benoit, who shows up and attacks Billy Kidman, leaves him laid out. Q Suzuki manages to jump on the back of Bagwell to try to save Alex Wright, but Marika Yoshida shows up and leaves Suzuki laid out as well. Horsemen then go to the back, smirking and celebrating a little bit as Raven and Al Snow watch on with creepy stares on their faces. So, 44 rating here. It's basically just, the Horsemen getting the advantage over Alex Wright and Q Suzuki and apparently Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman apparently, might have been just a wrong place, wrong time situation, or he might be associated with it. Who knows? But Horsemen looking strong here after that match. Then backstage, this guy's 62. Jesse James Armstrong, Scott, and Steve Armstrong as well. They approach Roddy Piper backstage, whose mind is clearly somewhere else at the moment. I put the wrong who's there, which I just realized, so my bad. Jesse James talks to Piper about getting Scott and Steve a shot at the WCW World Tag Team Championships. Piper's kind of, distracted, kind of thinking in his head about like what he needs to, about tonight, obviously. James kind of brings it up again, and Piper's like, what are you wanting? And Jesse James is like, I'm hoping to get Scott and Steve a shot at the tag titles. Piper's like, well, they haven't done much to earn a shot at the tag titles, but you know what? I tell you what, I'm all about giving opportunities, and this might be the last time I can give opportunities. So I'll give the Armstrongs a chance. I'll give you guys a chance to start climbing the ladder tomorrow night at Nitro. You guys can take on the two men who just showed up a few moments ago to get involved in that tag team match up here tonight. You can take on the Four Horsemen's Marcus Bagwell and Chris Benoit. The Armstrongs are a little reluctant about that, but Jesse James assures them that they'll get the job done and thanks Piper for the match. So tomorrow night on Nitro, it will be the Armstrongs of Scott and Steve Armstrong taking on Marcus Bagwell and Chris Benoit in tag team action. So that should be an interesting tag team match up there. 62 rating for this segment here. After that, our women's championship is on the line, and Megumi Kudo defeats Hikaru Fukuoka. I need to look up how to pronounce a few of these names. I'm terrible with it. I apologize. But Kudo gets the victory, making defense number 4 of the Women's World Championship in 11:21 after pinfall with a Kudo driver. Match only got a 48 because they're both not that popular right now. Kudo had a 61 in-ring performance, though, and Hikaru had a 50, so good stuff there. Hikaru got the match because she won a 4-way matchup on Saturday night, the night before, so she was able to earn that opportunity and try to do the best she could with it, but at the end, Megumi Kudo, our Women's World Champion that has been dominant over the last 6-7 months or so, gets another victory and another title defense. Then after that, Diamond Dallas Page and the Giant have a bit of a stare down with each other. They are Diamond Dallas Page is kind of promo when the Giant comes out, and the two are having a stare down with each other. They are looking like things are going to boil over. Page, running his mouth saying that you can't stop me. You can't, just because you've beaten me down the last few weeks doesn't mean that you can stop me. You can't kill me. I'm the Giant Killer. I'm the one who's going to be able to topple the Giant and stop you. Giant, just laughing about it until he gets slapped in the face by Page. And this starts a big old brawl. Two men fighting with each other all over the place. Both staff and security of WCW come running out, trying to separate them, trying to drag them apart, but they keep diving in at each other, keep fighting with each other at this point. So big old brawl happening, trying to keep them separated, but it doesn't seem to be working too well. They got an 82. Got penalized for the lack of anything interesting because they were both rated on overness. But if I had done it shorter, then it would have been penalized for these two being in too short of a segment. So, whatever. I'll just deal with that. But still, it advances that storyline as clearly Page is not backing down despite the fact that he's been getting beaten down and laid out by the Giant the last few weeks on Nitros. Then after that, we have that big main event, or not main event. We have the big Texas Death Match between Barry Windham and Meng that Roddy Piper made this past week on Nitro. And Barry Windham in 14:39 defeats Meng in a Texas Death Match when Meng was pinned by a flying lariat and could not beat a 10 count. The idea is that Meng was hit with the flying lariat, and then Barry Windham actually taped or not taped, he handcuffed Meng's arms to the bottom rope and Meng could not obviously get up completely. He kept trying to get up, but wasn't enough for the referee to consider him being up, and so Barry Windham gets the victory. 80 rating for the match. 76 from Meng, 70 from Barry Windham, which is a little surprising. Usually Windham's the one that's outperforming him, but Barry Windham gets a clean victory here at Uncensored, and you got to imagine that with that clean victory that the two will probably go their separate ways after this, but we're not sure. Nobody's for sure at all when it comes to these two fighting with each other at this point. And after that, Gene Okerlund introduces Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is apparently going to have a promo here, but before he can even say a word, Sting shows up. Sting shows up between them, or shows up over, and is on the other side of Gene Okerlund. Okerlund's kind of in between both of them, who are staring at each other. Jericho kind of yells about how about him being here, and says that he was unfairly attacked this past week on Nitro. That Chris Jericho is going to take out a lawsuit on Sting for unfairly attacking him because it's a conspiracy that Sting is being allowed to do this, all this kind of stuff, and Sting just standing there not saying a word. And Jericho says that Sting is a past. He needs to accept the fact that Jericho is a present and the future of WCW, and that Sting needs to just simply step out of the way and let Chris Jericho rise up the ranks, rise up the ladder, and get a shot at the world title, because Sting's time is come and gone, and if he doesn't stay out of his way, then Jericho will take legal measures to try to get him to get out of his way. And Sting still doesn't say a word. And Jericho then starts getting frustrated, and he's like, "You answer me! Damn it! Talk to me!" And Sting is just like, "Whenever you want to fight, bring it." And Sting walks off, and Jericho's losing his mind about this. He's not happy about the fact that Sting just won't simply move out of the way, won't let him just, walk right past him, so to speak, here in WCW. And so, got to imagine at some point these two are going to end up having a fight for sure. 86 rating for the match, or for the segment, that is. Very good segment there, as Jericho's clearly showing a little bit of a mental break at this point with Sting, who's kind of returned a little bit to his darker side during the last couple weeks. Then after that, a 97 rated matchup. My God, 97 rating. I can almost bet you right now that if Eddie wasn't hurt, this would have been my first 100 match. I can almost guarantee you that right now, that if Eddie wasn't hurt, this would have been my first 100 rated matchup. As in an exceptional matchup, Eddie Guerrero and Cactus Jack defeat Ric Flair and Brian Pillman in 21:49 when Eddie Guerrero pinned Ric Flair with a frog splash. That's right, Guerrero actually pinned Flair in this tag team matchup. 97 rating. Eddie Guerrero is the weak link because of the injury he's suffering through. He only had an 80 in-ring performance, whereas Flair and Cactus both had 95s, and Pillman had a 96. Best match of the series so far. A big-time tag team matchup there. And Eddie and Cactus are able to get the victory over Flair and Pillman. So, that's got to eventually lead to Guerrero versus Flair at this point. I mean, Guerrero just pinned Flair in a tag team matchup. Like, I know Flair will probably have a bunch of excuses about that, but he just pinned him. So you got to imagine that's going to eventually lead to a one-on-one matchup. At least that's what it seems like. But big victory for Eddie Guerrero and Cactus Jack here in a 97 rated matchup. Let's go. Then after that, in the main event, we didn't have a video for it, but that's fine. As in an 84 rated matchup, about that superb wrestling and great heat. It was a 4-on-4 elimination matchup in 28:03. Jerry Lynn was eliminated first, then Dean Malenko, and Sean Waltman, and Paul Levesque, which left Bret Hart in a 3-on-1 situation. He was left in a 3-on-1 situation. Bret was then able to fight back. He eliminated his brother Owen. Then he eliminated Dustin Rhodes, and it led to Steve Austin and Bret Hart. And at the end of the night, Steve Austin was able to roll up Bret Hart and get the victory. Team WCW get the win. The New World Order has been defeated. Bret Hart has finally been pinned for the first time in his WCW career so far. Yeah, huge stuff there. And Team WCW get the victory. So Roddy Piper stays in power, and Eric Bischoff is not allowed to be involved in any of these championship matches anymore for the New World Order, which is kind of big because now every member of Team WCW there have earned a shot at the NWO's championships. It's only got an 84, which is kind of a little disappointing, honestly, but it is what it is. 82 from Lynn, 75 from Waltman, 74 from Levesque, 96 from Bret Hart, 77 from Malenko, 88 from Dustin Rhodes, 89 from Owen Hart, and 96 from Steve Austin. I kind of glossed over it a little bit, but Dustin Rhodes was eliminated. It was 3-on-1. Bret was able to kind of roll up his brother and get him eliminated. So it became 2-on-1. But the problem with it being 2-on-1 was that it really wasn't 2-on-1 because Steven Regal showed up and beat the hell out of Dustin Rhodes on the outside during the Owen Hart elimination. So Dustin was basically weakened at that point and rolled into the ring without the referee noticing what had happened. And that's when Bret was able to just cleanly defeat Dustin Rhodes there by pinfall because he was beaten the hell out of by Steven Regal on the outside. So I don't know what the hell Steven Regal's doing. I don't know if he's working with the NWO. Of course, we saw it recently where he was talking to Eric Bischoff and Piper was trying to convince him to not join the NWO and he just walked off. So is Regal going to join the NWO? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening there, but he does have a problem with Dustin Rhodes apparently. So who the hell knows at this point? Who the hell knows? But Team WCW do get the victory in a big time matchup there. Afterwards, Bret is completely in shock as Austin celebrates the victory and the crowd goes crazy to end the show. Uncensored fades out on Steve Austin motioning for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship that's in Bret Hart's possession as the screen fades to black. An 85 rating for the whole show itself, which is really good, seeing as how a lot of the earlier stuff was not the greatest, but I will take an 85 for sure. Increased popularity in 14 regions. Some restriction there. I can't complain though. I can't complain. That was a really good show, including having our best match we've ever had in the series, that 97 rating, which would have been, I can almost guarantee you it would have been 100, or at least it would have been like a 99, but I feel like it would have definitely been 100 had it had Eddie not been hurt. If Eddie hadn't been hurt, then it would have been a 100 rating in my opinion for sure. Few things there that there's not gonna be any ratings really. We can show it, but not really gonna see much in the way of ratings because WWF wasn't running a pay-per-view at the same time. But we did have 4 million viewers, so that's pretty impressive. Obviously doing way better than the rest of the show, but I mean we're 4th on the night, so can't complain about that either. We ended our run with Sky Sports. We have a better deal now, but I needed to use them one more time for Uncensored so I could get that deal out of the way without being penalized for that. I don't remember if WWF has done. They have not. I was going to show you guys what they did for their pay-per-view this month, but because of course it's WrestleMania, but WrestleMania is set to be the last month or the last Sunday of the month. So the next it won't be tomorrow. It won't be the night go or the Fallout Nitro. It won't be that one, but it'll be the following one. So the first episode of April, I'll be able to show you guys what happened at WrestleMania for WWF and go from there. So thank you all for watching. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you guys were excited to see how Uncensored played out, including how that big main event played out. So now Steve Austin, Owen Hart, Dean Malenko, and Dustin Rhodes all have shots at the NWO's championships. Just depends on which one each person is going to challenge for and go from there. So thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it. And we'll catch you all in a future video.